Welcome along to Betting Weekly Premier League Show. You with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Just a few more weeks to go of the season, fellas. Nigel, you're still confident you can turn it around? You've had a little bit of a dip over the last week or so. I hate to mention it, but we always bring up the figures at the top of the show. Thoughts?
I think last week the Man City Southampton match was extremely. I can't believe we never won it. I mean, there's so many. I must admit, I listened to all the comments for everybody, but I've never known so many after timers after that match. I should have bet both teams not to score. Nil-nil. I mean, there were 26 shots on target. Man City were minus 700, and everyone told me literally on the 89th minute what a bad bet it was. Listen, if you don't like the bets, you don't like it. If you stick it up here, no problem. I've got no issue, but. Come on, boys. You're better than that. You can't be having bets saying, I told you that this match would be 3-0 when it's 3-0 in just about the 92nd minute. That's not what it's all about. You've got to be daring. And if you don't like it, say it pre-match, not after. But that was unlucky. That was extremely unlucky.
It was. And
but anyway, as I keep saying, we're a team. We're a team.
It got me thinking as well to a certain extent, because we had a lot of commenters also sort of backing you guys up as well. And anyone who puts their picks out there, and we have a lot of the lads on the YouTube who put their picks in for the entire weekend. Massive credit ahead of the action. Obviously, goes without saying with Jack and Nigel as well, because it is not easy. But Jack, you pulled it out of the bag with a hot dog, a header hot dog.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. I watched that game, but he had a couple of headers prior to that I thought I was going to be one of them. And then when Morgan Gibbs-White actually scored a header from like how it was supposed to be, I was thinking, oh no, here we go. But yeah, it was nice in the end. So good when a plan comes together. And we were a bit unfortunate with 2 or 3 of our other bets that weekend, but that's the nature of the beast. We know that.
The one thing I will say, Dan, I
was going to go on.
I was just saying the one thing that I think there's a bit of a lag on this at the moment, but I'll tell you one thing I would say is that however bad I have been, and last week I was pretty bad. I would guarantee that some new YouTube channels would be nicking my bets this weekend. So I would guarantee you on that. So that's one thing I would say, even though I have been bad.
I was going to say, it's FA Cup final weekend, Nigel. Are you going to the FA Cup final? I presume you are. We should have got all sort of shirt and tied up, really, shouldn't we? You know?
Yeah. I've got the white suit on here that the Liverpool
team. You got the
James Prada. Here's Prada. Look, it's Prada. So no, I am going to the FA Cup final. Yes, I'm going on Saturday. Looking forward to it and hoping for a Palace victory. And I've got some bets on that match a little bit later on in the show. So yeah, looking forward to the FA Cup final this weekend. So if you want to follow me at Wembley, and I was in Rome last week, the tennis. If you want to follow me at Wembley, you can do so on the Because We Win Instagram account.
Nigel's got a very good same game parlour when it comes to the cup final. We're going to get to it shortly. But we're going to talk about the Friday night games here. And we've got a 2-unit play from Jack on this one. Villa Spurs we're going to kick off with. This is 2:30 Eastern on Friday. Villa minus 278, Spurs plus 600 here. I mean, we've got 2 games here, Jack. Where we've got 2 teams desperate to win because of, Champions League qualification, and 2 teams who really couldn't care less here. I mean, the double is, I think it's about minus 125 at the minute, but you've got your 2-unit play on the Villa Spurs game. I mean, these are easy pickings for punters, aren't they?
I hope so. We're going to find out. But yeah, look, Villa to win makes absolute, perfect sense, doesn't it? And it started off as a minus 1.25 Asian handicap, and I was pretty shocked by that. It's moved slightly to the minus 1.5, but I fancy Villa to win this by 2-3, if not more goals. I think Spurs had signed for a 2-0, 3-0 defeat now, if it meant none of their players got injured and they can just crack on and get over to the Europa final on Wednesday. So, taking everything out of the equation, if this was happening 4 or 5 weeks ago, you'd fancy Villa super strong to win it. It would definitely be on the shortlist for that. They've won. They're top of the top last 10 form table. They've won 8 of those last 10 games. The 2 defeats in that spell were on the road. We know how strong they are at Villa Park. They're sensational there. Opening home game of the season, they lost to Villa and Arsenal, and since then they've gone unbeaten. So they are absolutely brilliant at home, and Spurs on that same 10-game form table are 4th from bottom, as they are across the whole season. They've had a horrific time, haven't they? 20 defeats across the season so far. This will be another one, and all I'm putting onto this is the fact that Villa will win by 2 or more goals. I just generally can't see any possible way that Villa do not win this. And I say it's just a case that they'll want to win it by 2 or more. They're not going to settle for 1-0 because, just in case Spurs do get a counter-attack or a set piece or something like that. So they will want to get at least a couple of goals ahead, get that margin. And I just can't see Spurs breaking sweat to do anything against them, really, to be honest with you. So you look at some of those recent Spurs away games, they got smashed 5-1 at Liverpool, 4-2 at Wolves, 2-0 at Fulham. Last weekend, nothing shown there in a 2-0 defeat to Palace. It's all about the Europa League for them. So it's all there is to say about it, really. Simple as that. -1.5 Asian handicap at -105. My 2-unit play straight in.
I mean, this is just a perfect storm, isn't it, Nigel? Two teams desperate to get that Champions League. Two teams couldn't care less, as I say. You know, we've got to back Villa and Chelsea here for sure. How are you going about the Villa game?
Well, you do, but there is a price to pay, and that price is -278 on the money line. And obviously, the match we're going to come on to is even shorter. I would expect Villa to start even shorter than -278 when the team news comes out. Obviously, Maddison is out for the season for Tottenham, which is a huge blow. Kulusevski obviously got a knock as well in his last match. He's definitely not going to feature. Son will not feature. I think he'll be saved. So it's going to be Tottenham kids, Tottenham reserve team against an Aston Villa side that are absolutely pumped, an Aston Villa side that are fantastic at home this season. I mean, you've got to go back to the first match of their home match of the season against Arsenal, the last time they lost in the Premier League. 20 matches unbeaten at home in all competitions. Beaten the team that are very likely to win the Champions League in Paris Saint-Germain, comfort at home in a game they could have won by even more. So what hope is there for Tottenham? You know, very little. So, yeah, I like Jack's bet here. Tottenham, I think Villa will be very popular on the money line, definitely. I can't see anything other than a home win. And since, we've known that they've been in the business end of the Europa League, their form has been awful. I think that they haven't won in their last 5, conceded a huge amount of goals. So I like where Jack's coming from. For me, I looked at that, but I just think to myself, well, I probably couldn't play anything on the money line or the Asian handicap because the price has been sort of factored. This has been factored into the price. But the one thing I did look at was I've got a lot of goal scorers this weekend. I think Ollie Watkins at -108 to score at any time is a decent price here because Jack is saying we're going to get 3 or 4 goals. He is going to figure. We know that obviously Rashford is out for the season, so he is going to be out front, the target man. There is rumours that he may leave the club in the summer. He's not happy that that he's played a sort of a bit part until Rashford has got injured. He's -108 to score at any time, and in a match where you would expect Aston Villa to score 2 or 3 goals, the guy who is their top goal scorer and the guy who scored last week in the 1-0 win against Bournemouth, who's got something to prove, could be the bet for me. So I went for a goal scorer market as my leaners, and it's Ollie Watkins to score at any time at -108 with Bet Rivers.
Same rules apply, Nigel, for the Chelsea-Man United game here. I can't see anything other than a Chelsea win. It's just how we go about it. As you say, Chelsea are even shorter, the -305. United +750 here. What's your thoughts on this one?
It's very similar, absolutely. And my thought process and the way I've approached it is exactly the same again. Chelsea -305, as you said, factored into the price. Manchester United have been awful all season. Not the Tottenham have been. They played bits. We forgot about the Tottenham match. Tottenham did go to Aston Villa 1-4. Played that to Tottenham Stadium with 1-4-1. So they can shine it. I don't think this Manchester United side have had any. I mean, the 101 great moments of the Man United football season this year, 99 of them are throw-ins. So that shows you how bad it is. Man United haven't won in 7. Prior to that, when you look at the teams they've won, they've been in the likes of Leicester, likes of Ipswich. When they're up against top-class opposition, they get beat. It's a must-win match for Chelsea, as we said. Final day of the season, they go to Nottingham Forest, which may be Ackerbilk, but it could be something that could be important. I don't know, but we'll see. But Chelsea here, great form at home. They haven't lost at home this year in the Premier League. Really, really good form at home. I can't see anything other than a Chelsea win, but, -305, again, it's factored in. Asian handicap is -1.5, maybe pushing for -1.75. This is Man United. This is a side that have got something to prove, and the young talent they've got there is pretty decent. So, again, I think there'll be goals in it. I think Chelsea will score a lot of goals, and again, I've gone for a goal scorer market, and again, it's the main attacking threat for Chelsea, and that man is Cole Palmer. His ties with Manchester City, the fact that Manchester United, he'd like to, he's obviously a Manchester boy, and I don't think he's more blue than he is red. I think that he will be fired up in his last match against Liverpool. Is his best performance for some time. We were talking about someone who could win the Player of the Year, be the top assist in the Premier League, challenge for the top goal scorer at one part of the middle of this season. He was the best player in England. It went off a little bit, but he's a absolute fantastic talent. And now, with the target of Manchester United, and the fact Chelsea need to win to set up that final day, I've gone for Cole Palmer at plus 105 to score at any time.
Goal scorers for Nigel, but Asian lines for Jack. Jackie?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, minus 125 is the price this time for minus 1.25 Asian handicap. Was close to going just straight off the bat with this being an official play as well, but not quite got the same amount of trust in Chelsea as I have got in Villa, and got a little faith in the fact that Man United possibly, with a very heavily rotated side, could pull something out of the bag and potentially only lose by a goal. So I think pretty much everything we've talked about Spurs, you read the same for Manchester United. Nigel risking it there by saying 101 greatest moments with you on board. I thought we'd get you back on your jokes there, or your Dalmatians and stuff, but no, you resisted, which is good. But yeah, Chelsea super strong at home.
Today, Jack.
Oh yeah,
he's in a hurry today. He would have.
Chelsea's won 7 of their last 8. It's gone under the radar a little bit just how good they've been over the last few weeks, especially at home. So yeah, super strong there. And the details on Manchester United and their form, Amorim's form since he's been there, like he's lost more than half the games that he's managed in the Premier League. It's just absolutely crazy. And one thing's for certain, he's appreciated it, isn't it? And he's mentioned it enough himself to say that it's embarrassing, but the performances don't seem to change, and they're getting beaten, and I expect them to get beaten here again. So yeah, I agree. And the usual suspects, if you're looking for outsiders on the scorer market, maybe like a Cucurella or Enzo Fernandez as well to supplement Palmer, because I expect them to be very advanced and attacking in this game, and they do like playing at home. They've got some strong data behind them as far as their home performances are concerned. But yeah, on board the same things.
Good stuff just leans in the Chelsea game after Jack's 2U play. In the Villa fixture, it is FA Cup final weekend. There are Premier League games as well. They've all been pushed to the Sunday. Those two brought forward to Friday because of the Europa League final next week. But the FA Cup final this year is between Crystal Palace and Manchester City. Palace are plus 340 to win in 90 minutes. City minus 134 just to lift the trophy. City minus 286. Palace plus 225. Do you want an FA Cup final quiz, Nigel, Jack?
Go on him.
Don't be too enthusiastic. Come on.
Go on him.
Nigel, what year did Queen's Park Rangers make the final?
81. 1988, 81-82 season, wasn't it?
81-82. What's the adjudication panel, sir? We'll let you have that one.
81-82 season.
81-82. Jack, what year did Norwich win? Make the FA Cup final?
They haven't.
One each. Here's the decider. Are you enjoying the quiz, Nigel?
Go on in. I'll tell you after this question.
It's good being a fan of a rubbish club, isn't it? It's easy.
How many times between them have Crystal Palace and Manchester City won the FA Cup?
7.
Correct. Nigel Seeley
7-0
wins the quiz.
Wait, how's he? Oh, was it his fastest finger first? Was it?
Was it
fastest finger first?
Yeah.
Oh right, I didn't realise that. Okay. 7.
I wish I'd not done the quiz.
There's a lag. There's a lag on the line. I couldn't hear it.
7 is the answer. 7 is the answer. Let's get some thoughts on this. We'll have to cut that bit out. Home or away, this is the biggest City have been against Palace for over 20 years on the money line here. City unbeaten in 10, Palace unbeaten in 5. They're both in fair form, Nigel. You've got your same game parlay on this one. Are we looking at head-to-head form, league form, cup form? What are your thoughts on where the cup might reside after the game?
You just have a feel for something. Sometimes on the form, I think the odds are about right. We know that Man City have hit a little bit of form, but the 0-0 draw last week would be a concern. Haaland coming back is a positive. Reunited De Bruyne. I think they'll go more for an old and trusted starting 11 rather than some of the new guys playing. But I just have a sneaky feeling Palace win the cup this year. I've felt it for the last sort of few weeks or so. And I think the way they played against Villa was a masterclass tactically. I think they've got some outstanding players on any given day that the greatest stage. They've got a back three that have gone on about how good defensively they are. Very good goalkeeper. He's been one of their best players of the season this year. Has gone under the radar. And a superb manager, an absolutely superb manager. And the other thing I think they'll have a massive, massive, massive advantage with the fans. there'll be 80,000 people, and I don't think Man City will sell out their end. And the Palace fans are incredible, and I think that gives them a little bit of an edge. So I'm basing a lot of this on the way I feel and the way that I feel the atmosphere at Wembley will be. So I think Palace could win the cup. I'm going to put them in my same game parlay on the double chance though. I'm not going all in because there has been a lot of games in FA Cup history go to the extra time, so we want that double chance. I'm going to go under 2.5 goals. I think this might be a cagey FA Cup final. I'm going for Eze to have a shot on target, and that parlay plays plus 410 with Bet Rivers. That would be my parlay. If you look at recent history, there's 3 of the last 5 years the underdogs have won the FA Cup. United obviously beat Man City last season. You've also had Wigan beat Man City a few years back as well, and Leicester obviously beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final as well. So the underdogs do well. And I just got this sneaky feeling that Palace are going to nick it. So Palace for me all the way. Palace double chance, under 2.5 goals. Eze a shot on target at plus 410 is my same game parlay.
Yeah, it's an odd one that. I was looking back at the stats. Only 4 favourites in the last decade. 4 dogs and a couple of draws in the 90 minutes as well. I think you're on the right track with the stats there. In terms of goals between the two, Jack, there's been an awful lot. I think over 3.5 the last 4 and 5 of the last 6. But this is a cup final, and I know that cup finals you don't tend to get a lot of goals. That's certainly been the case an awful lot of the time. What are your thoughts on this one? What's your leans for the cup final this year?
Do you know what? I think this is really, really tough to call. I just love watching Palace this season. They've been so good. Well, especially the back half. They started off a bit sluggishly, didn't they? But like Nigel's touched on it there. But every single department of their team has got just a great player in it, or at least one great player in it. I say defensively, he's talked about there, but you've got like the Wharton in the middle of the park. We know about Eze. Mateta's come into this brilliant striker, target man striker, and Munoz is one of my favourite players in the Premier League. I just love his energy up and down the right hand side. He's like assisting goals 1 minute, or he's playing laying on chances 1 minute. He's then back making crunching tackles the next. He's just one of those guys you love watching. So that's going to be an interesting battle on Saturday on that side of the pitch at Wembley. So yeah, but do you know what? Say calling a winner is pretty tough. So it wouldn't surprise me again for this one to go into extra time, possibly even penalties for extra excitement. So yeah, and go all the way. So that's kind of how I see that. And I agree. I don't think this will be a goal fest. I think it will be a lot tighter than those league games that we've talked about, with so much on stake on the line. And also, Manchester City have tightened up defensively a fair bit over the last few weeks. And this is a big game for City, I still think, because of how the season's been for them. Yeah, it's a bit of a statement to say, look, we weren't at our best by any stretch, but we've still won a trophy and we're still in the Champions League. So yeah, I think a lot tighter than possibly looking back at the historicals.
Going to be an emotional day. If Crystal Palace win for sure, it would be their first FA Cup triumph. We're sort of on the Palace train on the show for the FA Cup final. Let's get back to the Premier League. Lots of games on Sunday. And speaking of emotions, Nigel, here, I mean, there's not going to be a dry in the house at Goodison. Everton versus Southampton. It's 7 a.m. Sunday, Eastern. Without a doubt, the most emotional game of the weekend in the Premier League. Everton, obviously, their final game at Goodison. They daren't lose this one. I mean, they're almost certain to win, in my opinion. I mean, what type of game are we expecting? Is there any sort of betting value we can eke out of it somehow?
Well, they shocked everyone with their win last week at Fulham, including me. I mean, Simon Holden, he almost fell over and dropped his Peroni when he scored when he saw the scores there. But I think that, again, this is factored into the price, minus 275. Southampton have had sort of a bit of improvement, I thought, in the game defensively. They looked all right against Man City, held out. It's what's left in the tank for Southampton, and really, if they want to go there and play the pantomime villain, really, that's the problem. Just because teams have to win and the emotion is there, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to turn up and win this fairly comfortably. I don't think much will change in the way that David Moyes' teams play. I think the players will feel the emotion at the occasion, and that might change the way they play a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a free-flowing, entertaining football match. I don't think you've got hardly any of them in Everton games this season. But the one thing I think we have to go back to the tried and tested, and that is Everton to win to nil here would be my lean. It's plus 110. So if you're looking at Everton on the money line at minus 275, is this Southampton side that hasn't scored in the last 2 matches? Didn't even have a shot last week against Man City, comfortably beaten by Leicester. the lowest scorers in the Premier League. Where are they going to get a goal from on this kind of emotional occasion? We're talking about the Everton players maybe feeding it, but you would think the most of the attacking, most of the possession will come from them. And, some smart Alec will tell me I should have been betting both teams to score no when it's in the 92nd minute. The score's 0-0. But for now, I'm betting Everton to win 2-0 at plus 110 because minus 275 is the price. And I think sometimes, I don't care what anyone says, I think sometimes when you bet these teams at minus 275, minus $3, minus $4, and you can get plus money on them to win 2-0, that is the strategy. And, I don't think Southampton will score in this match. So that is the reason why I'm betting Everton to win 2-0 at plus 110 in this game. But it might take a bit of time. I think there might be a draw at half time and then Everton could win it 1 or 2-0 second half.
Yeah, I think I think Southampton daren't score for me. Jack, you have gone on a goal scorer lean for Everton here.
Yeah, I think it possibly will be fine margins, so you can't expect it suddenly to be completely exciting end-to-end goal fest. It's Everton and Southampton, and I just think Southampton might consider this to be job done now. They've got that monkey off the back as far as being the lowest ever point scorers in the Premier League. And they're there now. They probably picked up their bonuses to make sure that they didn't get that. Certainly Simon Rusk, as the interim manager, who's sort of held their hand through over the line. They've been very, very defensive, very, very turgid over the last few weeks to grind those extra points out. And I just think possibly now it might be a case of, we'll just enjoy the atmosphere, soak it up, and probably take maybe a couple of 1-0, 2-0 defeat. So I've gone with Beto as my lean here, plus 138 for the main striker for Everton in a game we expect them to win and probably score a goal or two. I thought David Moyes gave him a little bit of a pat on the head, didn't he, after his performance, saying that he's done well for him. Probably saying you're going to go in the summer, but thanks for what you've done in the short time that he's been there. Back-to-back matches, he's now scored in 8 goals for the season, and he scored 7 of those goals in his last 12 starts. So he's been pretty prolific, really, towards the back end of the season. 5 of those goals come at Goodison Park as well, so he obviously likes playing at home, feeds off the home crowd. He'll definitely get that on Sunday. And he scored at home against both Ipswich and Leicester. In fact, he got a brace against Leicester. So, I think he's the guy for me to complete the hat-trick of scoring goals at home against the relegated clubs.
Forest are away at West Ham. This is a Sunday 9:15 game. West Ham are plus 175, Forest plus 160 here. Have Forest gone, Nigel? That is the question here. Are we fading them again? Just 1 win in their last 7, 4 wins in 90 minutes in their last 16 in all competitions. We fading them here? They're not going to make Champions League, are they? What do you think?
No, they're not going to make Champions League. They've made European football, though, so that's a huge credit to them. Everyone's looking at it. The owner come on and went bananas, smashed a few things. I thought it was right. I thought it was kicking off because the burger van was closed. But anyway, we'll have to think about it. I'm not so sure. I think these prices look wrong to me. I think the Forest price here is wrong, plus 160. Would you bet them favourites? I know West Ham have had a very inconsistent season, but a big win last week. A manager that will definitely want them to not down tools because he's got to start the season well next season. Otherwise, he's under huge pressure. They'll forgive him for now, but I think the final day of the season at West Ham, sunny day, crowd out, pressure on Forest. I'm not buying into this Forest price at plus 160 here. I'm not sure about it. The other reason I think that Forest have gone down, I think they're missing Hudson-Odoi massively. I mean, he's such an outlet for them, his pace, and the amount of goals they scored on counter-attacking. Without him, I don't think they have that threat, especially on the road. So that would be a concern for me without him. I just got a feeling here that West Ham look a big price. I know they've only won once in their last. Forest have only won once in their last 7. But West Ham inconsistent, but a big win last week at Manchester United may. I know it was a poor Man United side, but that might be giving them a bit of a boost here. And all the Man United fans come back home to London after the game last week and were saying they weren't happy with the performance as well. But I'm going to go for West Ham on the draw no bet market at minus 110. Yeah, there was tears in Essex last week, and it wasn't for West Ham win; it's for Man United's loss. So
I tell you what,
West Ham draw no bet minus 110.
It's like it's the year 2000 again.
It's
Jack,
true though.
Jack, what do you like here? This is a bet I think that Nigel sort of lent on last week. That was a winner. This is Bowen that you like.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tried and tested for us, isn't it? I've done it a couple of times in the newsletter, and we've mentioned it a couple of times on the show as well. Because when you're looking to get West Ham on side, really, he's the guy that you want if you're not going to go and play them on either an Asian handicap or the money line. So yeah, to score or assist, another market that I like getting involved in towards the back end of the season, covers both bases at plus 148. I think is a nice price. Those that do fancy West Ham, I did see an interesting stat during the week actually about under Graham Potter, West Ham have actually conceded the third least amount of big chances since he's been there, only behind Everton and Arsenal on that respect. They are obviously conceding some goals still, so he's got work to do, but generally they're not allowing too many. And we know Forest aren't massively prolific, and Nigel's already touched on it. A couple of players missing, which is going to limit their options as well. So, I think West Ham angle is a shrewd one. And so, I've gone with the Bowen side of things for me. 11th goal of the season he scored against Manchester United last weekend. Scored 4 and assisted 2 in his last 6 matches. The only game he didn't get a goal involvement in was at Liverpool at Anfield. So, again, obviously we know that's a pretty tough venue to go and perform at. And he scored in this game last season. So he's the guy for me.
Leicester versus Ipswich, Sunday 10. Leicester plus 128, Ipswich plus 195. You are going to your main man here, Nigel, that cashed a ticket for you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, first of all, I think Leicester a big price at plus 128, actually. I was very close to putting them in. I think Ipswich are completely gone at the moment. And one winning 13. Leicester have shown a bit of fight in their last couple of matches. 2-2 it's not in the Forest. Tough place to go and get a draw. Obviously, there was an East Midlands derby, so there was some incentive there. But a very easy 2-0 win against Southampton as well. So they've played their best football for a long time in the last 2 matches. So I did think Leicester was a big price at plus 128 because that's priced up on the traditional. But obviously, I've gone to Jamie Vardy here. And the reason I've gone for Jamie Vardy here is because I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that we were betting Jamie Vardy to be the first goal scorer at plus 410. And we were going to bet him to score at any time, but the line was a little bit lower than wanted to play. I think it was plus 110 or something like that. And I said at the time that in his final game of the season, Vardy would probably be around minus $2 to score. Well, this is his final home match of the season, and it hasn't really been factored in anywhere near that I thought it would be. It's plus 148 for Jamie Vardy to score here. And they're playing against one of the leakiest teams in the division. They've only won once in their last 13 and conceding goals at a very, very alarming rate in recent weeks. So plus 148 Vardy, on any given circumstance, I think is a big price, especially now. This is his final. Now it's his final match at home at the King Power, and also it's his 500th appearance at the weekend. So Vardy will play 500 matches. His final match, he will take free kicks, he'll take penalties. They'll try to set him up, and this is a side that concede goals. Vardy's 8-1 to score 2 or more, which I thought was another. Next week, you wait and see with Vardy 5 or more to get me in profit. I'll be going for that. But this week, I thought I'll leave it this week. But I think it's a big price. I think plus 148 Vardy. We're talking about players like Ollie Watkins at plus 105. We're talking about, the likes of, just mentioned there, Jared Bowen. What was he, plus 116 or plus 116? Jamie Vardy, in his last match, a legend at the club, and he scored in the last home match as well. You can just imagine it's all going to be about him, isn't it? I mean, everyone's going to be the fan, and he's the kind of fellow I think that will sign off with a goal. He'll be so determined to score, to thank the fans for what they've done, and up against an Ipswich side that are just conceding goals. I don't think he can pick a better opponent. Well, Southampton are probably the only other opponent he can pick that he'd want to end the season with. So, got to go for one Jamie Vardy, anytime goal scorer at what I think is a very, very big plus 148. I think that is not factored in enough. That is his 500th match and his final match on that match. So, I'm going to go for Vardy here to score anytime, plus 148.
Is there a little bit more on this game, Jack, than we think? I mean, it's 18th versus 19th. They're only separated by goal difference. But if City get relegated because of a huge sort of points deduction, might one of these two stay up? Is that a factor at all? We've got for us here?
Oh, you're trying to clash. Where's them straws? What is that all about? Trying to make out the... Isn't it? Oh, this will be first on match of the day if Dan was the producer.
I think Nigel's answered that one for me.
The game to stay in the Premier League.
Now that definitely makes the top 10 Roebuck quotes of the season.
Not the top 101.
No.
101. Yeah.
Jack, what's your selection?
I think we're
running over time.
101.
We're running over time because of this. Come on.
That's because you had technical problems, nothing else. Come on.
I thought you were going to say that they might want to lay a marker down for next season because they're both going to be in the Championship, but no, they might survive if Man City get big points.
Well,
anyway. Oh well, I fully support fully support the Jamie Vardy pick, but I've left that tap in for Nigel. He set it up for himself a couple of weeks ago, so he can have that one. But I'm on the same kind of lines. I think Leicester are a good shout for this one. Was tempted on the money line, but I have gone with them for over 1.5 team goals. So wouldn't be surprised if Vardy got them both. But plus 102 for that, for them to score 2 or more. Nigel summed it all up. Ipswich can see goals for fun. Leicester have improved a bit over recent weeks. We've seen them form against the sides that are down at the bottom with them, i.e. Southampton. So, yeah, I just feel that there is a good chance here. Big atmosphere. Anyone can get on the Vardy goal and card. I think that's a great shout as well for bigger odds too. So it's all about Vardy in at this one. It's going to be huge. Is it if he scores, it is 200th goal? Is that right as well?
I think he's got 200. Is he already?
He's got 200.
I think he's got 200 already. I think so. I think he's got 200 goals.
But it's 500.
But I think he's got 200, 500. But yeah, I think he's 200. Anyway, but we'll see. I mean, but the 500 appearance is something. Don't worry, Dan. Come on, we're running out of time.
We are running out of time. Have we got your pick yet, Jack?
Yes.
Well, I said it. Over 1.5 Leicester goals, plus 102. Ipswich has conceded twice in 5 of the last 6. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Dan.
Let's move on. Now then, here's the 3U loser of the week from these two, because we've got a 3-unit play again. The last 2 weeks we've had 3-unit plays. They both lost. They've both been fantastic bets. I've tailed them both. That's probably why they've lost. Maybe I should leave this one alone. It's Brentford, Fulham. Brentford minus 114. Fulham plus 275 here. We've got Nigel's 2U and Jack's 1U. So it's a show 3U, as Neray, I think it was Neray, has decided it is. Jack, what's the 2U play on? Nigel, what's the 2U?
He's having a mare today, and he's having an absolute mare. Oh, God. Could be your final show.
What did you think of the quiz?
Well, let's highlight the show, and that's how bad the show's been. I'm going to have a Brentford. Brentford money line, minus 114, my 2U pick of the week. Brentford ending the season in absolute flying form, 4 successive wins, unbeaten in 6, scoring goals for fun, a manager who will not let anything other than the high standards he sets for his side, regardless they've got nothing to play for, an owner who wants them to do well as well. Really, really impressed with Brentford, how they've ended the season. A big match, I think, from Boomer. I think will leave Brentford at the end of the season. I think he will go to Newcastle. That's the rumour I've heard. And on the flip side, you've got an Everton side who put in their worst performance of a Fulham side who put in their worst performance of the season against Everton in a very, very poor display. And you've got a manager who has refused to sign a contract in midweek, which suggests that he's been linked with a job over in Saudi. But also there's talk about him potentially being a target for Tottenham if Ange Postecoglou doesn't get the win in the Europa League, or if he does get the win in the Europa League, we'll see what happens. But both of these managers would be good targets for Tottenham, but one of them has basically shown his cards and says he wants out, and that's the Fulham manager. And Brentford will just keep going, and Thomas Frank has been an excellent servant for Brentford. Probably, for me, one of the top managers in the Premier League. If I was a club at Tottenham, I'd take Thomas Frank all day long. Never gets really linked with these jobs, but what a job he's done there. And Brentford, for me, on the money line, minus 114, is my 2U pick to be a Fulham side that have got a lot end of the season, they've got their espadrilles on, but also they've got a lot of problems behind this and the background as well, behind the club.
Sun's out, drills out. Jack, you're putting another chip on top of this number.
I am indeed, for all the same reasons. Yeah, Fulham kind of collapsing over the line, and Brentford going from strength to strength, and still obviously held hopes possibly getting that European place. So, they still average over 2 goals per game at home. They're in great form there now. They won the last 4 across all venues, say in the last 4 games. So superb form on that side of it. They scored 4 in their last 2 home games as well. And they're up against a Fulham side, say, that have kind of lifted the white flag. It looked like they're possibly going to be competing to get towards the FA Cup final, competing to go towards Europe. Lost in the FA Cup final, and it's completely hit a brick wall. Since then, they've not got Anthony Robinson. He's a big miss for them on that left-hand side. And Bomo out there as well. Obviously, I got a little bit of stick because they put Wisser forward yesterday and not Kevin Sharder. Last week, it was Kevin Sharder that scored. But I've got 3 players in absolutely red-hot form up top. And that's a real danger for anyone. So especially Fulham side, as Nigel's alluded to there, already well on the beach. So, for me, Brentford, a really strong pay on the money line, -114, 1 unit for me.
6 times they've been minus money this season. Brentford, 6 times they have won. If they win their last 2,
we've said that though. Sorry, Dave. We've said that for this season, and we said it last season. When Brentford do really well is they beat that middle section teams. When they play the top sides, that's where they fall short a little bit. But when they play that middle section teams and teams in and around them, their record is phenomenal. And I think -114 is a great price.
Arsenal Newcastle is the later game on Sunday, 11:30. Arsenal minus money here. Nigel, you've got your hot dog, Newcastle plus 280. I mean, look, layman's terms here. This is the 4th meeting of the two teams. Newcastle have won all 3 of the previous 3. I mean, we should be getting Newcastle somehow, should we?
Definitely. I think plus 280 Newcastle's a massive price. I really do. I think it's virtually. I think Arteta's got to try to lift this side and the fan base, and I think you could have what potentially could be a brilliant season could just fizzle out to a non-event, and if Newcastle win this, then Arsenal are very highly likely to finish 3rd in the Premier League. When you can and 3rd in the Premier League, semi-finals of the Champions League, no cup competitions. Is that a good season for Arsenal? I don't think it is. I don't think it would be a good season for Arsenal. Everyone expected them to win the title this year. They were joint favourites, I think, after the first match this season, and to fall that far off of what I think in history, we look at this Liverpool side and think they're probably, I wouldn't say weakest teams because they're a very, very good side. But I don't say they're a weakest team. But what I would say is it's probably one of the weakest Premier League as far as the top 4 or 5 are. You got to look at the way that they've dropped points this season. So this was Arsenal's season, I think, and I just think he's in trouble with to try to lift them. They've got injuries. They've got Trossard is now out, but I'm not a big Trossard fan anyway. But the big concern for me was Martinelli pulling up in midweek in training. He's a doubt for this match as well. That means you're going to have to probably bring in Sterling. I mean, I'd rather Sterling Moss. But, I'll tell you what, he's 80. Is he still alive? He's not. I would rather Sterling Moss. But I just think Newcastle are better. I think Eddie Howe's done a tremendous job. They've only lost once in their last 10. Isaac ran them ragged. I've never seen a player give Saliba a run around more than what he did there. He's a fired-up Newcastle, and I honestly believe that Newcastle at plus 280 is a big price. Everyone's looking at the performance from Arsenal. Oh, they come back and got 2 goals against Liverpool, but if Liverpool were in the mood, they could have put 4 or 5 past them and they would have won that game easy. Liverpool took their foot off the gas. They had nothing to play for, and Arsenal come back and got a draw. But Arsenal are finished. Absolutely finished at the moment, and I think it's very, very hard. And -105, I think you're very brave if you're betting Arsenal to win this match. 280 Newcastle's the wrong price.
It's strange, isn't it, with that second place as well? I mean, obviously it's something, but for Newcastle, I think it would be more. I mean, they could go to second here. I think for them, and obviously they're not yet got Champions League football. They probably will do, but I tend to think that. You're looking at Newcastle are still on the up after that win over Chelsea last week. Jack, what's your thoughts on this one? You're siding with Newcastle going elsewhere?
I'm siding with under goals here, under 2.75 goals at -118. So for a full loss here, you'd need 4 goals. I can't see 4 goals in it. I think this will be a fairly tight game. I think Newcastle will look and be able to restrict Arsenal. So, if I was going to pick a winner, I'd be looking at the Newcastle side of it over the Arsenal side of it, who are just kind of collapsing over the line, aren't they? They've really struggled at the back end of the season. So those injuries to key players, and they haven't got the players coming in at the moment that are going to cause fear for anyone, especially this Newcastle side that have just got so much confidence, so much energy about them. It's like that's starting the season. You watch the likes of Tonali roaring around the pitch, and Guimaraes as well. The wingers are playing well. They even changed their shape and system a little bit last week against Chelsea and won that one nicely. So much to like about Newcastle, and they seem very controlled about what they're doing. Eddie Howe, cool, calm and collected, and I'd probably suggest that's the opposite as far as Arsenal at this moment in time. So under 2.75 goals, I think this could be a tight game and a controlled game. A tie, not the worst for Newcastle or Arsenal, really, for that matter. Leaves them in their own hands going into the final game of the season. But under 2.75 goals was my lean at -118.
We've seen it though before, won't we, Dan? Over periods, over season before of Arsenal, you'll know better than anyone. When they're done, they're done. Then they lose games at home. I mean, they famously lost matches. When they've run their race, it's very, very hard for them to lift them. And I think that energy comes from the manager as well.
Yeah, I think for what it's worth, I think they'll have a great chance of winning the league next season. I mean, if someone gave me 4-1 Arsenal next season, you give me 4-1 Arsenal?
No, I won't. You see the transfer window, but every season we hear the same thing, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it, and we all know the problems with Arsenal Football Club. They need to buy, and if they buy decent players, and then they've got a chance. You can't win. You cannot win the Premier League with that squad. When you've got an injury, you've got Trossard, Raheem Sterling Moss, and all them. You've got no chance. And there you go.
Stick with Kate Moss. That's probably better.
People are still Googling Sterling Moss. Don't Google Gate Moss. What have we got left? Very quickly on Brighton versus Liverpool from you boys. Liverpool are the favourites here. I tend to think that Brighton might win this one. I got Trent Alexander-Arnold and the crowd at Anfield completely wrong last week. I thought they'd give him a good reception. Got that wrong. What do you think on this one, Nigel?
I think goals. As soon as I saw the fixture, I thought this is my 3-3 of the week. Brighton, Liverpool matches since they won the title have been goals galore. There's been 14 goals in the 3 matches since they've guaranteed the title. I think Brighton will score. I think Liverpool will score. Both teams will score. Yes, is -265, which is incredible.
Wow.
But over 3.5 goals is +123. I think I'd have to go for goals here. 2 matches already this season. Liverpool won 2-1, and then Liverpool won at Brighton in 3-2 as well in the Cup. So there's been goals in the matches. Historically, there's goals. So goals, over 3.5 +123.
Jack, you're on the same line here.
Same thing, yeah. I just felt goalsy as soon as I saw the fixture. Over 1.5 Liverpool goals is my angle in on this at -120. 3-2 to Liverpool here in the League Cup earlier this season as well. Salah's still desperate for his goals. He needs 2 goals for 30. He needs 2 assists for 20. Last 9 meetings between the two sides produced 33 goals. That's an average of 3.67. Liverpool scored 2 or more in their last 4, and in 7 of the last 9. So yeah, Brighton conceded 2 or more in 3 of the last 4 home games, and that was to Villa, Leicester, and West Ham. So if they can do it to Leicester and West Ham, certainly, I think Liverpool, with what they've got in the forward areas, can score a couple here. Liverpool scored 42 in 18 away games, an average of 2.33. 2 or more in 14. I think they'll add another one to that total this weekend.
That's the Monday night game, 3 p.m. incidentally. And we've got some rogue Tuesday fixtures that I didn't include on the running order initially, but Nigel and Jack wanted to talk about them. In fact, Jack has got his hot dog in the Palace Wolves game, which sort of surprised everybody, surprised everyone on the team, everyone behind the scenes. Tuesday, 3 p.m. Tuesday, 3 p.m. Palace
surprised John so much he got out of bed. That's how surprised he woke up. That's how surprised he was.
Palace are +120 here. Wolves +230. Who knows what the prices are going to do after the FA Cup final? They might not do anything. Win or lose, I mean, Nigel's mentioned it. Win or lose, Palace, I think, will get a great reception at Sellers for their final home game. But Jack, you have got your hot dog here, so come on.
Yeah, I struggle. Normally, hot dogs are pretty strong this season. They've been the ones that have been the first to leap off the page. I struggled this week, so hence why I've gone down to this game on Tuesday, and I've actually gone for over 3.5 goals at +290. I just feel this could well be an end of season, whatever really with Palace. I understand that the FA Cup final will have an impact on it, but I just feel that I'm putting enough faith in Glasner to, whatever the result, want to either kind of get reaction and show some faith in the fans or celebrate the fact that they've obviously won it. I get the argument going against that, absolutely. I did do a bit of research into finding out when there has been a FA Cup final before the end of the season, and generally the sides involved have then had goals in the following week. So, for example, the FA Cup final in 2001, Arsenal-Liverpool won that one 2-1. They then had the UEFA Cup final, as it was called then, on the 16th of May, so 4 days later. And then on the 19th of May, my birthday, by the way, they won 4-0 in that one. And Arsenal, obviously, were in the FA Cup with them, lost 3-2. Similar stuff before in a couple of other games where the FA Cup has come, or the Cup finals come before the end of the season. So I've kind of based that on that. This game has had a lot of goals in it as well. And I think Wolves also will go there obviously they're the constant in this. The fact that they're just going to have a rest and recuperation ready to go for this on Tuesday with the likes of Cunha, with the likes of Larson there who have been performing well, to go there and have a free hit. And it seems to me that Pereira has been a bit miffed over the last couple of weeks with their performances and looks to be wanting to keep them keen. So I think there's goals in it as a result of that. So I'm prepared to risk the hot dog on this at plus 290. Reverse fixture was 2-2. Both games the previous season saw over 3.5 goals, and there was even a pre-season friendly this season that ended 3-1 to Palace in the States. So I've gone with over 3.5 goals at plus 290 as my hot dog.
How old are you?
Currently I'm 50, but I'll be 51.
51, happy. Come on, Nigel.
It's May the 19th, his birthday. Not today. You're not listening to the thing, are you?
4 days.
Hang on a minute. Just get Harry Simi back on. Just get Harry Simi back on. I've had enough of this.
Palace versus Wolves, Nigel. Will Palace fans be licking their wounds after the weekend? Who knows? What you got?
I'm fading Palace. I'm going with Wolves on the money line, Wolves on whatever you want to do. I think that Jack made a point there that those teams like Manchester, Arsenal and Liverpool bounced back and won their matches after the FA Cup final. But for a club like Palace to win their first ever trophy, they'll be singing in the streets of Croydon for a few days. And if you sing in the streets of Croydon, you get banging trouble over it. But anyway, I think that Palace will. I think it'll be very, very hard for them to lift themselves up. I also think it'll be hard if they get beaten in a narrow match because obviously extra time could be a factor as well. Whereas Wolves have had a huge rest period, and I think whichever way you look at it, the plus 230 on Wolves and the money line will not be that price come kick-off time. If Palace lose heavily, if Palace win, if Palace go to extra time, I think Wolves here at plus 230. I think that would be my way of thinking.
Nigel, City, Bournemouth, also on Tuesday, 3 p.m. City short price favourites. They could be 6th by the time this game kicks off. Probably will be. Bournemouth still with an outside shot European place. So whatever happens with City at the weekend in the FA Cup final, there might be something on this. What's the angle in for bettors for the last game of the round?
I think it's very, very difficult, really, because one thing, for City will know exactly what they've got to do. They'll know that all the permutations of the other match, but they've got to win, but they'll know what state of the affair is going last, which is a good thing for anybody. I started off with a lot of player props and goal scorers, and I've gone to Kevin De Bruyne here to score any time at 2-1. De Bruyne is obviously his last match at the Etihad. He clearly doesn't want to leave. He clearly wants to stay there. He has to go, and he's made it his performances have been great. He's going to be reunited with Haaland, and I think the old 1-2 will get back to winning ways. And De Bruyne will play a big part in this. I think if we get a penalty to Manchester City, usually Haaland will take it, but I think on this occasion, Kevin De Bruyne might take a pen for them. So $2, Kevin De Bruyne, anytime goal scorer to end what has been a fantastic career with a goal in his final match at the Etihad.
Jack?
Yeah, I watered that down. Same thinking, Kevin De Bruyne to score or assist is plus 100, and I just think that's a really good price for his swan song at Man City's last home game there, as we've talked about. For those reasons, City win both their last 2 league games of the season, and they know they've got everything in their own hands. So 3 goals and 4 assists in 10 appearances for De Bruyne against Bournemouth. He scored a goal and an assist in his last start against them at the Etihad in 2022.
Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. Good luck to one and all. We keep everyone updated via our X feeds. That is a wrap for Betting Weekly Premier League show. We will be back for the final time, of course, next Thursday.
Could be for you, Dan.
Of the season.
Could be for you on the back of this performance. Could be your final time. Could be.
Nigel,
Mr. Roebuck, please come to HR. Because Mr. Roebuck, please come to HR.
Are you doing a last day bonanza again, or don't you know?
Yes, we are. We are. I've got to confirm it. I've got to see who's on, but we will be doing a live betcast on the final day of the season. And I'll be pleased to say that you're not available.
Next week, more hot dogs, same game parlays, pick plays. Don't forget all the live shows: basketball, baseball, tennis, of course, tennis. Early midweek live show with soccer every single midweek day. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're inching ever closer to 9,000. Get all of your comments in. If you're fading us or tailing us, let us know. We're around all weekend to answer your thoughts and queries. From all of us, for now, though, it is goodbye.